And during that time, with M&A advisory, especially in mid-market sites, it's very difficult to find multiples, find what was valuation price, who bought, who sold. All these things are very sort of non-transparent. And we found this opportunity in the market where we thought that we sort of have to solve this problem, and we wanted to do it ourselves, but as well as for other sort of M&A advisors. And that's how Analyze Market sort of was born.
Okay, Yasir. So what I would like to walk through with you now is to analyze your career path a little bit, and also analyze the different ways you took and why you took them, because you essentially went from investment banking career on the sell side to building your own M&A boutique to founding a startup with Analyze Markets. So let's start a bit at your role in investment banking at Archeos. So you worked there for almost 9 years, and you did the traditional buy-side, sell-side M&A advisory in Dubai and other places as well. What triggered you to say, I want to become independent now, I want to start my own boutique?
Yeah, so I would say it was not by choice. I started off as an employee at Archeos, and then we had the 2008 crisis. It was the peak of the market when I joined them, and then a few months later we had Lehman Brothers and all of that. So slowly my role became more from employee into, I would say, variable pay, some kind of a junior partner, where I was also supposed to hunt and find deals, find investors, and be part of the team in terms of not as an employee, but more as a sort of, running your own book and having your own profit center, right? So that's how it happened. And then slowly over a period of time, we used to do small deals, mid-cap market size, M&A, mostly family offices, or deals in Europe, because, some of the partners, one was based in the UK, one was in Italy, and we had an office in Dubai. So it's more or less Middle East and, Western Europe focused deal work. Also some cross-border work before, as well, when I would say we were still working remotely, sometimes traveling, and then using, Zoom or just, conference calls. I basically at that time, just, I would say Teams and Zoom got more popular with the COVID, right? That happened. But before that, we were just sometimes flying in, but most of the time, I would say just would be conference calls. And that's how sort of, I would say, became more of a semi-self-employed, from a pure employee within Archeos.
Yeah.
And, with doing that for 9 years, I thought, it was time to sort of, do it full time on my own with my own firm. And that's how we started capital in 2017. And that again was also, I would say, through a client relationship that we were helping a sort of a family office, multi-family office private fund sell their legacy asset. And from an advisor, as an M&A advisor, on the sell side, we sort of became, I would say, an investment manager as well, because there was some turnaround involved in that deal, and we were sort of trying to make it from a loss-making entity into sort of an at least break even. And we eventually achieved that and sold that asset. So somehow we also did a little bit of asset management as a boutique, as a third party, I would say outsourced asset manager rather than, an employee of a PE fund. So it was a mix of advisory and sort of asset management as a third party.
Okay.
And during that time, with M&A advisory, especially in mid-market sites, it's very difficult to find multiples, find what, was valuation price, who bought, who sold, all of these things are very sort of non-transparent. And we found this opportunity in the market where we thought that, we sort of have to solve this problem, and we wanted to do it ourselves, but as well as for other sort of M&A advisors. And that's how Analyze Market sort of, was born, that we wanted to set up a simple platform for alternative assets, including real estate, venture capital, private equity, or even things which are, just announced in terms of how much dry powder that, different private equity funds sort of raise. And that's where we sort of thought that, we focus this niche on the unlisted asset classes, and then, do a very short half a page summary for a deal that happens. So rather than reading a sort of a press release where you only don't know anything other than what the buyer and seller want to tell you, which is very limited information, sort of started digging into the deals, find out, what was the valuation, enterprise value, what was the multiple paid, what were the recent transactions that happened in the same space. And we sort of link it all in this database. So anybody who's member can, sort of get that, half a page summary very quickly on a deal and use that to price his own deals or sort of negotiate on their own deals. And at the same time, building that platform to sort of become more like a marketplace as well for these kind of small mid-cap size deals where people could actually, match investors with companies, the owners or advisors who are trying to sell a business.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of, I would say, investment intelligence platform, we like to call it. And then hopefully, we still gradually phase by phase, we're trying to, add features and build a platform. So eventually become more of a deals database as well as a marketplace for matching buyers and sellers. And it's not like something unique. Of course, there are people who are doing different, parts of this value chain. Some are specialized in North America. Some are probably doing, I would say, just database services in terms of, data rooms or contact lists. Like, Zoom, for example, they just sell contact lists, right? And there are companies which like Crunchbase, we just focus on VCs and early stage deals. So you have some players in different niches, and we are trying to cover the whole alternative assets, non-listed assets. Thanks. Yeah.
Awesome. That's super interesting. I'll dive into that a bit later also, because there might be some partnership opportunities here as well, actually. But what I want to really understand also for this piece of content is your move from employed to not self-employed, but independent or building your own advisory firm, because that's the step that many of our talents are trying to take, right? Some as independent as freelancers, some as teams. So the first, obviously you build a network up. So I suppose for your first kind of clients, you just tap into your network. But how was the transition when it comes to, for instance, risk management? Because of course, it's not, you can't just like take all the clients with you, then your former employer probably wouldn't be very happy. So how did you kind of acquire your first clients, or how did the transition from moving the network over to your own firm work for you?
Okay. So again, I would say because in M&A, we are kind of working on a deal by deal basis.
Yeah.
You have very few clients who you would say are like clients, like you have long-term relationships, because most of the time you close a deal and the buyer and seller, are walking away happy, you get your success fee and then you move on. So it's very opportunistic. Like you're kind of working on different deals at the same time. You close some of them you don't close. So a lot of these, I would say one-time sort of, business that kind of, that you get. So I would say it's easier to sort of move to your own shop because you kind of not really stealing any clients because you're not managing anybody's money. It's not wealth management, it's not private banking. It's more like M&A. So I would say that in that point of view, it was easier. And at the same time, if you sort of stay in the M&A game for long enough, you have your own network because all these big, private equity funds are, not sector focused. They're like agnostic. They're looking at opportunities. It could be mid-market, could be some, I would say, turnaround situations, could be growth capital. So you can show them, different deals based on what you find. And, it's just networking that, you have to keep doing to sort of build your investor base as well as your sort of client base on who you want to help. Yeah.
Nice. And so you kind of did what you did before, but you kind of kept the network and then built your own brand, essentially. It makes a lot of sense. How did you decide on your firm's focus when it comes to sectors and when it comes to kind of the exact services that you offer? Because of course, before you had backing of a bigger company and then suddenly you're just two people, right? So you have to probably build a partner network, or how did you kind of choose that service that you offered?
Yes, I would say we kind of also narrowed our focus a little bit. So we just then started to focus on the MENA region. So our case was more Europe, Middle East as well. And then opportunistically doing deals, even the US, even Asia. So we kind of, I would say, narrowed our focus to Middle East region, mainly the GCC, because I kind of, lived in Saudi, lived in Dubai for a very long time. So I was 25 years in the Middle East. So that was also my bulk of my contacts at that time. At the same time, we sort of also wanted to make the business less risky in the sense that rather than just hunting for deals and like always relying on success fee, which is the bulk of the organization, so we started getting more into sort of, I would say, medium-term advisory mandates where we had some retainer or some sort of, recurring fees to cover our costs. And that's usually when the deal is not ready to be sold. So that's kind of a little bit of turnaround, a little bit of restructuring, improving the sort of the cash control, for example, or that side of the business, and then taking it to the market to be able to sell. So that sort of also helped us, manage our fixed costs. And at the same time, we had then really, I would say we had clients, not just, one time or short term sort of deals. And it then became more medium term, long term sort of engagements where we were making some recurring fees and then eventually the success fee on the exit.
Yeah. How does it work for you in terms of partnerships? Because of course, as investment banker, you probably worked quite a lot with let's say Big Four or these kind of companies on certain projects. Did your so first question, like, did you kind of build your own partnerships, or did you say, okay, I worked with these service providers before, I'm just going to use the same ones, or not? And then second question, also when it comes to deal sizes, like, did your deal sizes change, or are you working on the exact same size deal now that you did before?
Okay, so for the first question, I would say sometimes the buyer and seller decide on which of the Big Four they want to bring in for the due diligence. So it could be not in my control, but of course, in some cases, we just make the introduction, get some quotations from, a few of them and try to help the client, finalize one of them. Most of the time, I would say investors, because they have their own long-term relationships, they probably have their preferred sort of, DD provider. And same with the lawyers, sometimes you make an introduction for the lawyers, for the SPA, for the shareholding agreement. And sometimes they bring bring their own. So that's question number one. Question number two, I would say, again, when we're too small, when we're that small, it's difficult to be very sort of rigid or sort of, have a specific criteria. So it was, I would say, still opportunistic a little bit, just more focused on the GCC MENA region. And again, based on our size and our track record, our network, we were still always in that mid-cap size of space. We couldn't really go into the, large cap or bigger deals, because there you have competing with the budget bracket firms, you're competing with Big Four as well, you're competing with some other, conventional banks who have the investment banking sort of departments as well. So I would say, we kind of were more or less doing the same. Yeah.
Okay. And then my last question is about also your team size, because you are working by yourself with a co-founder. How big is your team right now? Do you have any other employees beyond that founding team, or is it just the two of you?
Yeah, so we were the two partners, and then we had a third sort of advisor to us, and who became sort of a minority partner later on. And we had a team of 2 analysts under us, who we were, also in Dubai, and then also we had 2 analysts in Pakistan, because we're kind of trying to cover our costs. So we used that as a remote working or back office analyst role. And this was, like I said, this was from 2017. So this was even pre-COVID, where we started implementing this remote working culture and sort of, trying to outsource some of not outsource, but, having the back office, in a different country. And then we had this sort of an admin assistant who was a little bit of accounting, receptionist, as well as admin assistant. So we were still a small team, and we tried to make sure that we were having low fixed costs and limited, working out of a co-working space and, what do you call office center sort of. Yeah.
Nice. So your goal is also to be a bit like an organic team where all of you also kind of have fun doing it, and you kind of can experiment with other projects on the side. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.